It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the logos of those mega dealers in our industry. You can also see the logos of the financiers behind these mega dealers. I'm asking the question, what are the financiers thinking about? What are the financiers of the industry today thinking about when they look over there at Visual Edge IT and the relationship they have with their BDC lender Ares? What is the money behind our industry thinking right now? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure the questions that were asked of Marco by Norwest Equity Partners in 2015, well, those answers would be different today. The questions would be different as well. Our industry has changed so much over the last 6-7 years. So much. The global pandemic, all kinds of things are happening. And at the end of the day, the money behind our industry has to be thinking to themselves, do we want to continue to leverage ourselves like this? Can we really see the ROI? Can we really see the end game? Ladies and gentlemen, it can't be the way it was in 2015 in the mindsets of the investors. It's not even the way it was in 2017 when Trivest bought a company called NovaCopy, which is now called Novatech. So much has changed in our industry. And today I want to discuss a little bit about leveraging, the leveraging that's going on in our industry with these folks. And I want to also discuss the possibilities that there's going to be some recapitalizations. And folks, you know, I'm sure some of these folks are doing quite well. They've been with their private equities for a long time. And I think about Marco with Norwest Equity Partners. But Marco has an interesting story. IT services, print, all mixed together. But for some reason, it's not been really attractive for anybody to buy them up, for them to have a nice exit strategy. They've been with Norwest Equity Partners since 2015. Why is that? Our friends over at FlexPrint, I think they're doing a pretty good job for Oval Partners, the money behind them. But Oval Partners taught our industry an important lesson. When they decided to get into the IT services business, you know what they did? Well, they started a roll-up of IT services company. That business is called New Charter. And when they did that, I did an episode and I shared with you all that the money behind our industry just told our industry that putting IT services in a big print deliverable might not be the best approach. And maybe we should all pay attention to that. I'm not sure what New Charter's doing. That could be a separate episode. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, our industry's fantasy about rolling up a bunch of copier businesses and then building an IT services businesses inside those organizations so they could get a 10 or 20 times EBITDA, that has to be a fantasy. These investors can't be thinking that way anymore. And today I want to share some thoughts on that. I want to focus mainly on Novatech and UBO because these two folks really share an interesting story in the way they go to the marketplace. And that story, I believe, has a lot of merits. And the investors are paying attention to both Novatech and UBO as they watch what's going on at Visual Edge and the BDC lender behind Visual Edge, Ares Capital. But before we get into that, what I want to do is I want to share some thoughts on leveraging. A lot of folks don't get it. I want to share my thoughts. So let's say you got $200,000 and you want to get into the housing rental business. You take your $200,000, you go buy this purple house and you pay cash for it. You rent it out for 5 years and then you sell the house for $250,000. And over the 5 years you collected the rents. That's one way to do it. Or you could take that $200,000 and you could go buy 10 houses. And you could put $20,000 down on each house and you'll end up with a $1.8 million mortgage, if you will. And you're going to pay that $1.8 million mortgage over the 5 years. You're going to rent those houses out. You're going to collect the rents. You're going to make some money above what you're paying to support the mortgage, the insurance, and the other things that go with it. But after 5 years, you decide, let's sell all 10 houses, and you're going to sell them for $2.5 million. And you're going to say, wow, that was a better deal than just doing one house. And then maybe next time you go out and buy an apartment building. But ladies and gentlemen, you can see the hope in this deal. It makes sense. Hey, let's take that $200,000 and buy 10 houses. Put 20 grand down on each one. I could visualize selling all 10 of these in 5 years for $2.5 million. That kind of makes sense. Real estate's a good investment. There's vision. There's probabilities of a pretty good outcome. So you don't mind leveraging yourself. But could we honestly say that about the print industry? Could we say that? When these financiers are running around buying up copier dealer after copier dealer after copier dealer in a declining marketplace when they know that everything they buy is worth less the next day, the customers are going to print less the next day, The hardware they sell on the renewed contracts are going to be for less. Everything's about less. Well, it made some sense when you thought you were going to put other products and services in those accounts, in those thousands of customers you were buying up. It made a lot of sense. But today, do those financiers have that same mindset? Are they excited? Do they think they're going to get a 10 times EBITDA? Ladies and gentlemen, I believe there's going to be some things that are going to happen in 2024. Let's think about our friends over here at UBO. And UBO is a great company, right? And they went out and they bought up a bunch of copier dealerships, right? But they stick to their core. When I think about UBO, they're not trying to be an IT services company. They're selling print, managed print services, document workflows. It's all around print, paper-based products. They get it. They're staying in their core. But what are their investors thinking? What's the exit strategy for UBO? If it's all about print, are they going to get a 10 times EBITDA? No. How much is their debt? They've been leveraging, right? They've been buying up, buying up, buying up. How much is the total debt over there at UBO? If they got a 5 times EBITDA today, what's their EBITDA? Would that even pay off the debt? These are the questions the industry's really got to start paying attention to. Think about Novatech. Back in 2017, Trivest invested in Novatech. It was called Nova Copy back then. But I found something interesting on the Trivest website. When they were talking about Nova Copy, they said the year before Trivest invested in them, they did $80 million in revenue. They also have them in a category of EBITDAs between $1 and $5 million. I did some math on that. If they had the whole $5 million in EBITDA against that $80 million revenue in 2016, that's only a 6.2% EBITDA. That seems pretty low. And back in those days, Nova Copy was really around print. They weren't into this IT stuff like they are today. Now they're called Novatech. They're out there building an IT services company with the print company. You see a lot of similarities to what's going on at Visual Edge IT. Now I will tell you this, I don't see any similarities because I'm not aware of any anyway of the financial condition of Novatech compared to Visual Edge IT. I'm assuming it's in much better shape at Novatech. But when you go to the website and you look about what they're doing, it's very familiar to what's going on over there at Visual Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe our industry can deliver IT services to all of their customers. I believe that you have to find the right persona. You have to move upstream. You have to be selling fee-based assessments. I think it should be about 10 grand a month as a minimum, maybe 5, with the hope that that customer can grow to 10. But at the end of the day, the old style philosophy of 10 years ago, we're going to sell everybody everything, and $1,000 contracts and $250 contracts and $100 contracts is all going to work out. It won't work out. It won't work out. I contribute most of the issues that are going on at Visual Edge IT around their IT services and the cost to do those IT services. And at the end of the day, there's got to be something going on at Visual Edge IT because we've seen the financial disaster that that company's been going through. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things to think about. I want to share some thoughts to the employees of some of these organizations. You know, I was recently made aware that the leader at Visual Edge had mentioned that 35 executives have stock in the company. And it was like, work hard, you could have stock too. Well, I'll tell you right now, if you have stock in a company, you better know what the hell the stock's worth. And some people call it outright stock, some people call it warrants. You could hear the term executive units or units. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you should know what the company's worth the day that you agree to accept stock warrants, okay? You better know what it's worth. If they tell you, hey, the company's worth $250 million, then you need to find out why they think that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a print business and they say it's worth $250 million, that's based on an EBITDA, okay? And it's going anywhere from 3 to 5 times. Let's say that you got 5 times EBITDA and the EBITDA of the company was 20%. That would give you revenue. So if you were a $250 million copier business, if you will, and you had a 20% EBITDA and you got 5 times EBITDA, that company would sell for $250 million. But that's just one component. You got to understand what the debt load of the company is. If the company owes $240 million, there's only $10 million left, and you better understand where you sit in the waterfall. The waterfall, that's when the thing finally sells. There's an event. Where do you sit? Is there any money left over for you? Ladies and gentlemen, you know, anybody at Visual Edge that's excited about owning stock in the company, you better know all the details around that. And if they can't tell you what that stock's worth today, then you better question, will it be worth anything tomorrow? If they don't share with you the details of the debt load of the company, the stock is useless. Ladies and gentlemen, just because you work in the industry for a mega dealer doesn't mean that those mega dealers are going to tell you everything you need to know. You might have to ask. And if they avoid the questions, just use your imagination. Just use your own thought process. But our industry, running around buying up copier dealers and trying to make these things IT services companies, has been a miserable, miserable disaster. At all fronts. There's never been a home run. Where's the home run? Ladies and gentlemen, IT has to be sold differently. It's not 5 years ago. It's sure not 10 years ago. And when I listen to the industry out there talking about how they're delivering IT services inside these big giant copier dealerships, I get a little bit scared. I get a little bit scared because I believe you're building a mess. And here's the reality. Cleanups become costly. Cleanups become really, really costly. We know we got an issue between Aries Capital and Visual Edge. It's obvious, right? Something's got to give. Something's got to happen. Tomorrow's episode, I'm going to share some thoughts on how I believe that Aries Capital will exit from Visual Edge. And the thoughts that I share tomorrow are really to help the industry understand and start thinking about what the possibilities really are. Because possibilities become probabilities, and probabilities become reality quicker than ever. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.